Alrighty. Welcome to Summer's Woodworking. This is Season 3, Episode 30, if I got my numbers right, but don't quote me on that because me and numbers, we don't always get along. I am not Brian Gidney. Haha. I am Shannon, and I'll be the guy wrecking it tonight in place of Brian. Getting him a day off, so we're going to see about what we can do to not blow the entire show up in the process. And so we're getting a slow start, so bear with us for a minute. I've got links out to folks to join in, and they'll be chiming in here in a minute. But me and Dave are going to hold the fort down in the meantime because, you know, we're bad mamma jammas that way. So you want to say hi to everybody real quick?
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Dave Gatton. You can find me on YouTube under Dave Gatton, and you can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and well, I guess that's the main ones, Facebook and Twitter. It's Dave Gatton, Sidewinder CNC.
Which is primarily what you're known for.
Yeah, I suppose so. I've been doing that for a long time. Used to build and sell them years ago, and actually, when the economy kind of took a dump around 2008 or so, that's when I finally thought, well, you know, now I finally got time to just not worry about selling and building machines. I can just kick back and start playing with mine, and found out that was a lot more fun than selling them. So,
like a great number of things, it's more fun to do than to try to push sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Did you get yours on yet, David?
Yeah, I got them on now. Took me a minute to get set up here.
Well, I'm slow to getting everything out, so it'll be a rocky start, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's my first show. Nobody will throw too many rocks at me, I imagine. So
yeah, Brian's out, no rules, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's whatever goes, man. I mean, yeah. I'm not even wearing pants for this one, so.
Oh, that's too much information.
So I got shorts on.
You wore pants for the other ones?
You know, I almost put the tie on like Brander does, but I thought, man, it's a little too formal for, and it's too hot for that here. So.
Yeah.
Well, tell us where we can find DLG Woodworks.
DLGwoodwork.com and on YouTube under DLG Woodwork. My site's actually sort of under construction. I've got some of I switched servers or web host about 2 weeks ago, and I have everything moved. I got my videos on there and my project gallery, but I don't have all my blog posts switched over yet. So, but DLG Woodworking, find me on there.
So, are you working with a web outfit for that, or
no,
are you trying
I'm doing it myself, and I've been so busy with work that I haven't been able to move all the stuff. I changed domain names. It used to be DLG Woodwork, BLG, like short for blog. I took that off there, so I couldn't just move it all in one fell swoop. So I just took a bunch of the old blog posts and sort of saved them, and I've got to go update them to my new site. I just haven't had time yet.
I tried the Blogger for a while, just the Blogger whatever through Google, but I haven't actually attempted the whole web page just yet. So I may have to pick your brain in a minute on that one.
Yeah, we can do that.
Since it's Q&A, there'll be many Q's for you.
Okay.
I don't know how many A's, but you know, Q's definitely.
I'll make up something.
Do you Dave, have you done your own for the CNC, or did you have one through the selling of the CNC, or just?
Yeah, I've had that website, www.cncsidewinder.com. I've had that domain for a long time, and I used that when I was building and selling them. And then, like I said, when the market kind of dropped off, I thought I'm just tired of fooling with it, and I needed a break anyway because in 2008 I was building about one a week and working full time too, so that just about killed me. So I just decided to quit advertising them, and but I kind of kept that domain name, and then I kind of didn't even have a website there for a while, but I brought it back just so I would have a place to kind of tie in with my YouTube stuff.
Has having the web, I mean, well, obviously there probably has it been worth it so far on the web page with the tie-ins, or is it better as a standalone?
Well, I think it helps because I have a YouTube. I don't know what you call it because I'm not that web savvy or whatever, but I have it where every time I upload a video to YouTube, it automatically is kind of connected with my website, so people can view my videos whether it be on YouTube or through the website. It kind of lets them know what I'm going on, and I also have a page on there where because some of the things where I've done and people have wanted plans. I've got some plans. Some of them are free, and some of them are a few bucks. So I do sell some plans through that as well.
Okay. So I have to figure out a way to get my Dave straight here because I keep looking back and forth and back and forth. The reason I ask, it's kind of fresh on my mind anyway. It's one of the things I want to try to talk about tonight is just kind of a rambling session. Because what I've done, my wife used Square for years as just the credit card portion of it, as far as taking orders at craft shows and things like that. But recently, I don't want to say took it over because they allow you to do a page through them, kind of like an Etsy or a Pinterest, where you can post pictures of it all and sell through the website, and I've been doing that, but I don't know how the different, the links and stuff external. I'm trying to get to what I want to say here. Kind of what I'm thinking is there's a lot of different things, and what I'm concerned about is sort of a overload of social media, if you will. Between Pinterest and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus, YouTube channels. What's the most effective way of getting stuff out there without trying to just be on a computer posting and updating for 6-7 hours a day? It's a long way to get to my question or my point maybe. Is kind of what's the best method? Is it to have a dedicated website, or just pick one or two of all the available social medias and just really try to drive one or two? I don't know. The online presence is where I'm probably least experienced of it all, and so it can be a bit intimidating. So that's why I'm asking.
What my plan is, the only reason I have a website, I first started it was just to kind of blog and just to kind of get my ramblings out there. I'm pretty active on a couple of woodworking forums, but that's slightly different, so just a place to post little, tips or things that I may have or things going on in the shop. But now I'm getting over into where I'm going to start selling some things, some pins, going to make some duck calls and just a few smaller items. And my point of the website now, I'm still going to do some blog posts and things like that, but it's more almost like a credibility, like, hey, I'm a legit business. I'm not just some dude working out in the shop, out in the garage trying to peddle stuff. I've actually got a website. You can go on there and look at my projects I build. I've got videos of where I build stuff and interaction with other woodworkers. And I think through your website, I'm active on different social medias at different times. Like with Facebook, I don't post on there as often, maybe, but like Instagram, I'll post a lot when I'm working in the shop. Hadn't been a lot the last couple of weeks, but I think it's good to not, like you said, there's not time, I don't think, to be on all of them all the time unless this is your full-time job. So I think just kind of keeping them all updated as you go, and then you've got your Instagram crowd or your Pinterest crowd or whatever, they'll find you through there. So I think just kind of having an overall online presence through all those, but you don't have to update all of them every day or every few days. Just at least hit them once or twice a week, just so that particular crowd can say, okay, Shannon Fargo, fat guy in a little shop, his stuff's out there. Does that make sense?
I think so. like with my wife sells a lot of her stuff through her Etsy page, and they won't let you link other stuff.
Right.
It's just that, and so in a way that seems a little limiting to me. With putting it on Square, it's a place where you click on it. If you like it, you buy it right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the advantage with that, I thought anyway, was by having it where I can post those links in Facebook and other places, that it drives to the one selling point for everybody. So I wasn't sure,
got you.
did the website have more prestige than that, than going to um, a different website?
Yeah, and I
Someone
think
else's.
I'm going to do as far as selling online is probably just set up. I haven't opened it yet, but I've set up an Etsy store. I think I'm just going to link from my website to, if you want to buy this, click on this Etsy link. I may end up doing an e-commerce, but the thing about your own website is you have to drive traffic there to get somebody to buy it. Etsy provides a ton of traffic, but there's also a lot of competition. Your own
Right.
site, no competition, lower traffic. Etsy, ton of traffic, but also a ton of competition depending on what you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah, and cutting boards, like the kick I'm in right now for cutting boards, there's plenty of them. So
Mm-hmm.
to be different or to be unique is kind of the challenge in a way. The other part of that too was what I was thinking. Not just trying to sell the cutting boards, but for example, some of I've got some 8-quarter maple stock that's left over, and I could probably work it in eventually into a board somehow in different ways, being crafty. But then I thought, well, couldn't I just sell them as pin blanks? But then at the same time, if you're known for a certain thing, how do you get that pushed and get it out so that other people notice? Because on the one end, the cutting boards, it's everything on that side. It's all finished product. This is more of a supply side. So is there confusion in that? Would there be? I don't know for sure, but just trying to think of multiple avenues. Since this is a business and this is for income. What's the better way, through a single website, or I don't know. So
I think that goes to kind of knowing your market, and I'm, like I said, the stuff I'm about to start selling, pins is going to be the primary thing, but there's going to be several other things. I'm going to try to kind of market mine as people that are shopping for gifts, just gifts, period, birthday gifts, graduation gifts, anniversary, any kind of gift. That's kind of where my thing's going to be. But like you said, going from selling cutting boards, that's sort of like a homemaker, or even could be a gift type of market. But you're just selling pin blanks, all of a sudden you need to market to pin turners. I think that's one of the things where online forums can be helpful. One of them that I visit a lot is WoodNet forums, and pretty active on there, and that's helped get some people to my YouTube videos, not for selling anything, but just interacting with people. For the pin turning, there's IEP, pinturners.org. That would be a place to go on there and say, hey, fat guy in little shops and they're selling pin blanks. If you're interested, let me know. So I think just kind of knowing where to pursue your market, really knowing your market's the biggest part of selling. Knowing how to connect to them, knowing, kind of having in your mind, okay, this is who I've got to reach out to, and then finding them.
it's any good business plan, right?
Yeah.
Car manufacturers won't sell cars if they can't find people who need cars.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which, yeah, I'm too lazy not to have a car nowadays, so I don't know if I can get along in the horse and buggy days. I like going faster than a trot.
Yeah.
And my truck doesn't look at me and go, he ain't getting on. So that works out pretty good too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that takes care of that one. I had a plan, believe it or not, and I don't know what I did with my little scratchy note of questions that I had. So what have y'all got going on here lately?
Well, I have been working on a project for my house. Haven't really shot any video or anything. I probably maybe will shoot some video if it turns out if it turns out good. I think it will. But it's just kept me so busy. I haven't really been able to get out in the shop and do a fun project. I do have something, like I mentioned to Shannon earlier when I first got on here, is I've got something running on the CNC right now, so I'm gonna have to be in and out here and go check on that to make sure it hadn't crashed on me. But other than that, I've got me a pallet, and I'm hoping to tear it apart and get ready to do something with the Sterling Davis pallet upcycle challenge. I've got kind of a loose idea of something I might make with that. We'll just kind of see how the wood turns out from the pallet. I think it's going to be okay. I think I can get enough to do it, but looking forward to doing that. And that's also, he's doing the Wounded Warrior project too, so that's a really good cause for that. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I got to get mine started too.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've actually got 3 pallets out in the shop right now ready to be taken apart. I actually got the crowbar after one of them the other day, and I swear they put this thing together with nails and wood glue and duct tape and I don't know, magic spells and something. I could not, so I'm just going to have to cut in between the runners on the outside, use some short pieces, but for what I'm making, it'll be okay. So, start shooting some video on that. And my video won't be real long on it, but I should have something done on that by the end of this week. And I've also got, I mentioned pinturners.org a minute ago. There's a couple of contests they're running right now that run through, I think, the 23rd of August. So I'm going to do a couple of different contests for that, and I think I'm going to do a video of one of them.
I'm glad you got the chance to explain that, because the train just went by, so I'm good for a few minutes on trains. That's been my fear about this the entire time. What am I going to do when a train comes by? I'll be in the middle of asking a question, and there it goes, and maybe it's some sort of elevator music I can play in the background while
yeah,
or just
well, I saw you muted, so I kind of talked a little longer, so try to help out there.
Appreciate that. So, all right then. Yeah, as far as any of my projects at the moment, making some more boards. There's a community market in Denton, which is 15 minutes from where I live here, and we actually went this morning. We put in an application for it. It's kind of cool because it's from 9 to 1 on a Saturday. So you go out, you throw up a little, one of the expandable tent things, and sit out there for a couple hours and try to sell some stuff. And I only saw, there's a couple of pin turners there, a lot of pins. I guess you'd have to bring a lot of pins just for variety. A table of 4 or 5 pins really wouldn't look all that good, would it? No, I just turn 5 at a time. That's it. That's all I got time for. I don't know how that would work. I haven't gotten to pins yet, so that's on my to-do list. But there was only one booth that had cutting boards, and it was mostly just. It looked like I didn't want to go in and talk to the gal and say, tell me about your boards. Like I'm trying to get information. But it looked like a lot of large slab chunks that she had. There were only a couple of pieces that had any different wood put together on it. And then there was another guy who had a lot of pens, a lot of knives, and like 3 cutting boards. I don't know if that's just all he carries or not. So we were looking into that as far as a setup to go to market and sell at, but we'll see how it goes. Denton is a weird town. We call ourselves North Austin sometimes because of all of Texas, Austin is unique. If you've ever seen anything about it, Austin is they're proud of how weird they are. I think that's their slogan too, if I remember right. Keep it weird or something to that effect.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Denton is kind of like that too. It's There's 2 artsy-fartsy colleges, and yeah, and the culture reflects that. We've got several of the like the whole foodie kind of grocery stores. I mean, if you want raw granola, if you want, hemp toilet paper, whatever, those are the stores to go to. I think there's more of those kind of stores here than in any big city. So it's a unique environment sometimes. So I think they do okay, especially since I started doing I look up, like you guys can see the can up there on the shelf. Since I started making some of the finishes, I tried a beeswax mineral oil mixture the other day. Turned out pretty good. I scored. There is a store in Denton called Scrap, and they take donations. That's it. They just take, if you've got, and they'll take just about anything. There's bins that have nothing but bottle lids in it, and buttons, and scraps of fabric, and you can donate just about anything there. And what they do is resell it at an insanely discounted price, and to encourage, one, keep it out of the landfill, and to encourage crafting, making with stuff that would have just been thrown away. And so I found a pound of purified, the really, really white beeswax over there the other day. It was in a section with some candles, and I thought, what? And it was 25 cents. How do you turn down a pound of beeswax for 25 cents? I said, I got to try it. Even if I colossally fail, I've got to try it. And it turned out pretty cool. And oh my word, the smoothness of that finish is just, I mean, when I'm done with the cutting board, I'll just sit there and just rub it. I've actually gotten in trouble. My wife, quit rubbing your wood. I can't. So, as juvenile as that is, it's a pretty awesome thing. And so, I think in that community it might do kind of well, because then it fits some of the hipstery sort of stuff that goes on. There was a dude down there today, and I was wearing a bow tie and a suit, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. So we were already in the mid-'80s, and I'm thinking, you really committed to fashion to wear a bow tie outdoors in Texas. On a Saturday, nonetheless. So
is there a lot of, I mean, I would assume, being kind of a hipster type community, maybe Denton's slogan could be, we're almost as weird as Austin. But is the maker community there pretty big?
Yes and no. Some of that I'm aware of is stuff I'm not terribly interested in.
Okay.
I know my wife gets invited to all kinds of scrapbooking stuff. Fortunately, she's not into it, so dodged a bullet there. But there's a lot of the gardening stuff, the convert your backyard into a garden kind of, which I'm not opposed to, just that I don't have time to get into it just yet. And there's some other things that I've seen posted and stuff that I'm like, no, it's not for me. I would stick out in some of these places because I don't get some of it. But Dallas has one of the makerspace places, and it's just far enough away that it's not fun to get to, because most of that interstate right now is under construction all the way down there. So it's just, Dallas traffic is bad enough as it is. This is even worse, which any road construction is going to make it stupider. But it really, the Dallas Makerspace is an awesome. They have the woodworking area alone is, it's bigger than most houses I've been in. I mean, it's just huge. They have when we toured it back in February, my son and I went down there. They had 4 of the Shapeoko 2s up and going. They had one was a 10-foot by 6-foot CNC machine that they said, you throw the whole panel, the whole sheet good of wood up on there and cut it all out. Lathes, table saws, band saws. I mean, all the regular woodworking tools. And that's honestly what I was going to do, was sign up and practice pin turning down there. That way I didn't buy the lathe and then realize I suck at it, and then I'm stuck with the lathe that's going to collect dust. But we never got back down there. My son's senior year, so, stuff happens. But
Right.
yeah, I think the monthly fee for that was $30 or $35, and you go in and use whatever you want for as long as you want. You just have to take care of, if something breaks, you got to let somebody know, and if there's a tool you're looking for, they can try to get it, because they have budget for stuff, from the fees and everything. So it's still something I want to get into, but because I'm lazy, I haven't.
I wish where I lived was big enough to support a maker space, because I'd even, I would pursue helping open one up. But, where I live is about 25,000 people, and then there's a town about 20 miles away, about 60,000. I just don't know that that's big enough. The maker community. There's Arkansas State University is in Jonesboro, which is close to here. I just don't know that it's big enough to support something like that.
Yeah,
But I think it would be.
Well, Dallas, it's it's actually in a town called Carrollton. It's like right over, it's one of those things where you cross one street, it's one town, cross the street, you're in another town. But, Dallas is 1 million people by itself, so there's, I think between the Dallas-Fort Worth area is 3 million, something like that. So, that's surprised we don't have a couple of them. And there may be, that's maybe the only one I know about. But, some of that Cowboys money flying around out there could be funding things I don't know about.
Right.
Mavericks money or something, I don't know. So. I had a question in my head that that actually was gonna segue into. I suck at this hosting thing sometimes. It's a good thing I only do it every once in a while.
Will O'Brien, you did very, very well.
Well, if he's not already throwing stuff at the screen, he will be when he watches the replay of it. So I told you to be prepared. I'm sorry. It's a free service, so what can I do?
Yeah.
So, how's the weather in your neck of the woods? Actually, that is one thing I did want to talk about a little bit. Sort of different ways of, does the weather affect your planning of how you get jobs done, like time-wise, and what are some things if it has been an issue, how have you worked around that?
I'll jump in here, David. My little old shop, I've got a little window unit AC, which does a tremendous job in this Atlanta heat and humidity, but only if I get up very early and turn it on and let it get a head start. My shop is insulated pretty well, so if I can get it cool, like right now when I just ran out there a while ago to check on the CNC, it's probably still about 65 degrees out there, but that's because I turned it on like at 7 o'clock this morning when it was still, I don't know, it's probably 75 or 80 here then. So if I can get it cool, I can keep it cool as long as I don't run in and out and leave the doors open and stuff like that. So having said that, I've mentioned before on these shows, I'm pretty much a weekend warrior because I work a full-time job, and when I come home in the afternoon, trying to turn that air conditioner on and get it cool, it's just too late. It's not ever gonna catch up. So most of the time, I don't get out there and do a whole heck of a lot through the week, at least in the summers here in Georgia. So it's just too darn hot. So I get out there, turn the AC on early, and try to hit it hard on the weekends.
All right.
The weather for me, I live in northeast Arkansas, so it's as hot here as it is in Georgia and Texas. We got the same type of humidity. The heat doesn't bother me to work in. I'm actually looking at getting a mini split and putting in. I've got a heater for the wintertime, and I insulated it last last fall, and I haven't insulated the garage door yet, but I insulated all the walls. It's a one-car garage. It's connected to the house, so one wall it was already insulated. And I blew insulation into the other two, and I've got, like I said, to insulate the garage door. But the heater does a great job in the winter. And like I said, the heat doesn't bother me. I can work in the heat. Usually I have a fan on me, like a box fan just blowing. The problem is, if I'm trying to talk and shoot video, I can't have the box fan running. So I'll turn that off, and I'm pouring sweat while I'm doing videos. But for the most part, I've got that on. As far as the weather, like affecting me or having to plan around it, when it does bother me is wintertime, because I don't run the heater all the time, just because it's a 220-volt heater, and that'd be a lot of electricity for when I'm not out there. But I can turn it on; it'd be heated up out there in about 30 minutes, and plenty comfortable to work. But finishing and gluing up projects, can be an issue, because the wood's sitting out there and it's 40 degrees for 2 days. I go out there and heat up the shop to 65, 70 degrees. Well, the wood's still, it's not ready for finish. So a lot of times what I do is apply finish out there and then bring it in, or I'll set all the pieces inside. I'm lucky with my wife; she's real generous with space in the dining room and sometimes even the kitchen area. We've got a big kitchen island where I'll lay some stuff in there, let it warm up for a few days, and then apply some finish and let it dry there, even inside. And so I have to plan sometimes for finishing and glue ups during the winter time. But besides that, the weather doesn't slow me down too much. What about you, Shannon? What do you do?
Well, get a lot done of a morning, or try to anyway, and then normally, about 2, 3 in the afternoon, I may focus on posting pictures of stuff from yesterday, trying to get some product out there, and then about 5:36, I've got between me and the neighbor, there's some pretty decent trees. So after about 6 o'clock, the sun will break just enough to start putting a shadow back over everything. And in my shop, the way it's set up is I've got a 6. Well, we enclosed the 2-car garage on the house, and that became my wife's studio and another bedroom. We built this shop in the back, and just took that roll-up garage door from that garage to this one. So really, what I've got is one wall that just disappears. Which is nice because you get some decent breeze, and I've got windows in either wall, and I've got box fans in both of those blowing in. So there's air movement. It may not always be the most pleasant air moving, but it does move. And when you're dripping sweat, that's sometimes all you get. But yeah, in the afternoon, it shuts most stuff down, and then I try to wrap everything up by about 10 o'clock at night. I'll save some of the stuff that is less noisy for the later hours, sanding and stuff like that. I'll try to do like all of my cuts and stuff early in the day, and then I can spend the darker hours of the evening gluing stuff up, putting in clamps, and that sort of thing, scraping off, squeeze out, and whatever I need to do, applying finish when it's a little quieter. But yeah, that's I guess my warm weather strategy. And for winter, I've got the single burner that screws on a 20-pound propane tank, and that's the only thing I've got out here. I really the electrical is probably the weakest part of my shop, because when we built this, we ran out of money right at the end, about the time the electrician showed up. So all I've got is a 20-amp breaker in the house that runs out here, and everything is tied to one breaker. And I need to, well, I'd actually like to put a sub panel in and run independent power to the shop where it doesn't go through the house, but that'll be a while before that happens. So even if I wanted to run an air conditioner, I'd have to turn it off every time I fired up a second tool, because even now, if I run the shop back with something, that's pretty much pushing it. It's funny too, because that breaker actually ties into a room that doesn't really have much in it, and I've had people go in there and turn the light switch on and trip the whole thing. So you're mid-cut, and all of a sudden, poof, the shop just goes dark, and so you have that moment of panic, because you're hoping you get the board out of the saw before, or you get to the switch before someone hits the breaker in the house. And because anytime the power goes out, you have that moment of what?
Yeah.
And so you're just hoping that they're not that close, and let me run over here and flip it back on real quick, and you get a surprise that way. But
that sounds like my old shop, because I used to use my 2-car garage as the shop, and of course garages, they don't make them for shops, they make them to park cars in. Apparently, that's weird to me, but anyway, there wasn't there's only a couple of outlets out there, plus counting the one for the garage door opener. And I was the same way. I had drop cords running everywhere, and you go to fire up something, and you go, okay, wait a minute, how many amps is this? I got to unplug this and turn this off, and it was such a pain in the butt. So when I got ready to buy my other building, of course, I just bought it's like a utility building, and then I ran the wire and had an electrician friend of mine come over and run a panel out there. So now I've got plenty of separate circuits, and I can go out there and I can turn my CNC, my table saw, my bands. I can turn everything on at once if I wanted and never pop a breaker. So it's really nice. But I can relate to what you're talking about there, Shannon. It's not fun when you have to play around 15 or 20 amps.
You talk about having to do the math. I joked about this before. Apollo 13 was on a couple months ago, and there's that one scene where they're trying to figure out how to power up one of the modules after it's been turned off, and they keep practicing which switch sequence, because if it goes over a certain amp, they're not going to make it home. I've joked with my wife. I turned around and said, that's kind of what it feels like out in the shop sometimes. I mean, I'm not doing like Jim Lovell level woodworking out here, nothing like that. Just that, I have to stop and think, okay, do I need to turn the lights off? Which sounds crazy, you're cutting in the dark. Well, because I have one wall that disappears, I mean, I've got sunlight for hours, and so there's a lot of stuff I actually do, and I turn the overheads off just to make sure that there's no wackiness. So glad to know it's not just me.
Yeah, it's on the electrical on my shop. I went from kind of what Dave said to what Dave's got now, but in the same space. Because like I said, I work in a one car. People call it a garage. There's never been a car in it the whole time we've lived here. It's a wood shop. So, but when we first moved in here, I had the 3 outlets, one on the 3 walls. But luckily, I work for an electric supply house, and I've got a friend that's an electrician. He come over, and I've got my lights on a separate circuit, and I've got 220 volt for my table saw, and then I've got about I think 8 separate just 20 amp receptacles that I've added all over the place. So now I'm like you, Dave, and added breakers to my breaker box is full now, but I can have the bandsaw, table saw, dust collector, lathe, all of it on at once if I needed to, and then still not have to worry about the lights because they're on a separate circuit.
Yeah.
So
well, that's really been handy for me, because I've been on these shows where they've had a lot of discussion about CNCs, and I kind of use my CNC as another pair of hands, where I just fire it up and get it doing something, and then I go off and do something else, whether it's sanding or cutting something on a bandsaw or whatever. And when I was in the garage, I was kind of stuck sitting there watching it, because I knew I couldn't turn anything else on or risk the breaker tripping, and of course then you got a cycle time of an hour or something, you just lost it because the power went off. So
yeah, that's a level of profanity you don't want to have happen, I'm sure. And I don't know squat about CNC, and so I can only envision the tool throwing, swearing session that would incur. So yeah, probably best to wait.
what CNC is it you have, Dave?
I have, well, I call it a Sidewinder CNC. It's one that I've designed and built myself. I used to sell these a few years back, but it's kind of a benchtop model. It's got a cutting area of about 40 inches on the X by 26 inches on the Y, and then of course it's got the through design where if you really need to cut something longer, you could index it and run it through and cut it that way in kind of layers or whatever.
Okay. Is it just you got it to 120 volt, 20 amp receptacle? I mean, is that all it plugs into?
Yeah, it just runs off a normal PC. I'm running Mach 3 as the, for my control software. I've got a Xylotex controller, and it's just running 120. I got a Porter cable 690 router, I think, on it. That those things are a workhorse as far as I'm
that's a good
concerned.
size router for a CNC.
Yeah, it's pretty stout. It's it'll cut pretty good.
Yep.
Sorry.
Have we got any questions there, Shannon, or are we looking?
I don't have the. Hang on, I'll have to go pull the other version up. Give me just a second here. You got this version doesn't have the Q&A on the side.
I guess I should say, do we have any viewers?
It shows 2 people right now, so okay, I'm sure that's a treat for them. Just staring, going, "Oh, this is horrible. What are they talking about?" Let's see. Oh, dang it! Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I sort of say I've got it pulled up here. I don't have it, which you may have being a host may have a different. But I haven't seen any questions on the YouTube live stream part.
I was having trouble scrolling. My wife was out here putting it's called triple thick glaze. It's just a really thick glaze, like a spray that she puts on some of her stuff to give it a good sealing coat. And the spray nozzle, when I pushed down on it, it kicked out and like a grenade went off and it's just spewing from the top of the can. And I was trying to get the nozzle back in there, and I've got that stuff now all over. I have scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, and I just noticed I can't scroll. I was trying, and whatever it's done to my fingertips won't let me scroll, so I couldn't get to the feed to see if there were questions. That's a new one. I don't know if Brian's ever had that happen.
Yeah, don't worry. In a couple of weeks, that'll wear off.
Yeah, but I'm not lying right now. I have some of the shiniest fingernails. I don't know. See if I can hold up one that's not offensive.
Ooh,
it looks.
Pretty.
I mean, look at that. That's some serious glossy finish right there. That's like I buffed them out. And I'm gonna catch all kinds of grief from everybody because it looks like it does. Now that I say that out loud, it looks like one of my kids when they were little would attempt to paint my fingernails or something. I make it pretty. I got girls, so
yeah.
I make them pretty, Daddy. Okay. So you can't say no when they come up. And you got work the next day. You realize you still got some pink nail polish on, and you try to get it off before anybody sees it, but not always effective. But yeah, 3 daughters. I've worn more crowns than I care to admit.
Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old girl, so I know what you mean. I've had bows in my hair and all that too. So.
Well, I've always got a kick at it when they try to put a scrunchie in my hair because there's not a lot up there to put a scrunchie in, but they're dedicated. So how do you say no? Well, shoot.
Are they old enough to work out in the shop with you yet? Or are they interested?
It depends what I'm doing. I've actually got a couple that love to vacuum.
Yeah.
They'll chase sawdust all over the shop trying to get it sucked up. But I've yet to be able to get one that'll want to sand, and that's what I got to work on. I think I'm gonna try. Was it the Tom Sawyer technique about sanding? Was it Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn that was painting the fence? Tom Sawyer, wasn't it? Crap! I got my Mark Twain stories backwards in my head. One of them's trying to whitewash the fence, convinces the other one that it's a good thing, and then tricks him into doing it and takes a nap.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta figure out how to do, but they're getting too old for that now. So, I even bought the fancy respirator, thinking that might trick somebody into it, but no one's interested in wearing that. So, but you get to walk around sounding like Darth Vader. No, not so much. We're not the droid you're looking for, Dad.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my daughter, she's 10, like I said, and she likes to work out in the shop with me, and she builds and puts some scraps together, glues them together, and that's a good time out there. She's done a little bit of scroll saw work, so um, it's really cool having her out there with me.
You have to hold on to some of those pieces so that one day when she's all famous, this is some of her early work. Look,
yeah,
called Pine and Sparkles.
Yep. Yeah, I've got one of my favorite ones. She just took a little bitty square and she cut it, sort of like a puzzle shape, kind of diagonally, where it would like fits together. And she wrote Blade Buddies on there, and we put one half on her scroll saw and the other half on my bandsaw. So I told her that's something I always have.
That's cool. The 4-foot table I have here in the shop is just the outfeed table from the table saw and where crap piles up. But underneath it is a piece. When the house we lived in a long time ago, the only place we could get the bunk beds to fit was right up on the wall with the window. And my wife was concerned that the kids would somehow bust out the window. So I just went down and bought a 3/8 sheet of plywood, took it home, and then pushed the bunk beds against it. Yeah, that was as much as I got into it. Well, you don't give kids that kind of canvas and nothing happened to it. And so over the years, markers and there's all kinds of artwork. So when we moved to this house and actually had space to set the bunk beds upright, I'm stuck with this big 3/8 sheet of plywood. So I just ripped it in half, and it's underneath this workbench now. So when I move, because that's where I store some of the strips and stuff for cutting boards, and sometimes when I get down low or I have to move stuff around when I'm cleaning, I'll find pictures of flowers and hearts and mutated horses, and they didn't know how to draw a horse. And it's just kind of funny because you get to clean and you're like, oh, look at that. Oh. So if for whatever reason archaeologists ever unearth my shop one day and look through it, it's going to be, they're not going to have a clue what I did in here, because there's going to be half put together projects and then a bunch of mutated horses. It's going to be weird. But then they'll move on because they realize it doesn't matter. This guy, he didn't know what he was doing. Next shop. So, all right. I've been hoping that one of my questions would pop back up into my head, but so far, not so much. I have literally had a complete brain fart today. So, oops.
I had an idea too for kind of show stuff, but we'll talk about that offline.
We're gonna give away secrets. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That'll work. So, fellas, do you have anything you want to pitch before we wrap up? We got a few minutes left.
I'll just encourage anybody watching this to take part in the pallet upcycle challenge. You can go to Sterling's Woodworks, check out what that's about. An awesome cause, raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project. And I'm hoping my video that comes out, I meant to have it out sooner, but next few days will show people you don't have to build something super creative that walks down the road or anything like that. Just build a project, and it's going to get money donated to the Wounded Warrior Project. Mine's going to be about as simple as you can get. And we'll try to do something entertaining in the video, so that'll be fun. But it doesn't have to be something super creative. Take a pallet, chop it up, make something else out of it, and money goes to the Wounded Warrior Project. So make sure and check that out.
Definitely
if we can, Shannon, can we put a link in the show notes for that?
I think so. I'm just not entirely sure how to do it just yet. So, if I try it right now, I'll probably crash the.
Yeah, we'll try it after. After you post the thing, I think you can go back and add it, or Brian can add it.
Yep. But if you just look up Sterling Davis on a YouTube search, you can pull him up pretty easy. If I don't figure out how to get it in the link, that is. Okay. And so definitely even something simple. Make a gift box or something. It doesn't have to be, like you said, a big creation. It can be something simple. And I think I'm going to have you actually beat on simple, because Well, you'll see. So
Okay.
you'll see. All right, David, you got anything?
Well, I was just going to kind of say the same thing that David did. Every time one of these challenges come around, whether it be the 2x4 challenge or whatever, I always have good intentions on trying to do something with that, and it seems like something always happens. But I've got myself a pallet, and I'm going to make sure that I get something done. I may give you guys a run for your money as far as simple, because I don't have any big ideas, but I thought, well, I'm going to put something together, and I think it'll work out. It will be pretty dadgum simple. So anyway, but that is a great cause. I would urge everybody to grab a pallet, put together a little video, and let's raise some money for the Wounded Warrior Project.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, mine, while simple, also crosses a honeydew off my list. So,
Wow, double whammy.
Yeah, it's the project that keeps on giving. So not only do we help out Wounded Warriors, we're going to help me out of the doghouse. So, yeah, better to help the Warriors, but if we can get me out of the doghouse in the process, it's a good day too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess that is going to wrap it up for this week. And so I'm not sure what next week is going to be because we'll have to figure out what I've done wrong from this week. So we'll see what happens there.
Tune in next week when Shannon gets fired.
Yeah. Hey, I did it. It didn't blow up. Well, I haven't clicked the stop button yet, so it hasn't blown up yet. So that's all I can hope for, to be honest. But fellas, I want to say thank you and appreciate you being here. I know the Maritime guys are already on, so if you're watching this in replay, you watched them already, or if you're watching us, watch them in replay, but after Charlie, but before. Wait, what? Anyway. So I have no clever closing tagline, so feel free to insert whatever you want there, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks.
See you guys.
See ya.